Good morning, fourth graders. Happy Thursday. Today we're going to look at our reading assignment and kind of learn a little bit more about volcanoes, a little bit more about earthquakes, and then some cool new natural disasters that we haven't read about yet. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to show us what our reading is going to be like this week. So if you're on our assignment for today, which is day 4 of the week, it's Thursday. I'm going to go through and I'm going to go to my next slide. On this slide, I'm going to start to actually read a short little book today. This is like a book that you might read with me if we were in our classroom in our small group table, but you're going to be in charge of it all by yourself today. So if I click on this picture here and I see my link here and I click on my link, it's going to take me to that benchmark website that we've used a few times, and I'm going to need a login just like I log in with every other username and password I have. So if I log in as this student, I'll need my regular 4 digits that I always have, and then my password that I use for everything as well. Once I'm here and I'm logged in, it should take me right to the book that we're going to read. When it logs me in, it asks me if I want to customize it. I always say no, I don't want to customize anything, so I just click no. Then it shows me the book that we're going to be reading. The cool thing about these books online is I can read it to myself. I can just start to flip through and I can just start to read, or it'll actually read it to me. So if I want to start on the first page, the introduction is my heading. I can click the play button up here and it'll just play it for me.
Our Earth is changing all the time. What are some of the forces that cause these changes?
And I can pause it and think about what that said. So, or I don't have to have it read it to me. If I want to just read it on my own, I can go right ahead and do that. It might be helpful for some of those big words that I see here in bold, like forces, earthquakes, glaciers that we talked a little bit about in science. So let's go back and let's see which pages I actually need to read this week. So if I go here, it says that I need to read all of chapter 1. Remember, I can also have all of chapter 1 read to me. I need to read pages 2 through 12. So if I go back to my page, I can look at what that is. That's an introduction. And then chapter 1 is earthquakes. I'm going to read all about these earthquakes, and we have talked a lot about earthquakes already, so a lot of this information should be stuff you already have stored in your background knowledge. So like this is the layers of the earth we talked about. Up here I see the tectonic plates that float around on our outside of our earth on the crust there as well. I can keep flipping. How are earthquakes measured? And then a little bit more about their magnitude. And then that, oh no, I have 2 more pages, and then this should start to conclude my chapter here. I don't need to move on to glaciers. We're going to do glaciers on Friday. So here, then I need to go back, and I'm going to re-look at this slide, which is just a video. So if I click here, it shows me a little link I can click on, and this is a video about tsunamis because there's a short little section in here about tsunamis. If I start to read about tsunamis, I'll learn and watch in the video that tsunamis are actually caused by earthquakes. There's a big earthquake underground, which causes a wave that might come and hit earth and do all sorts of things that might damage our land or damage our homes and things like that. So I posted an awesome video to learn all about tsunamis, but let's go ahead and see what we actually need to do for reading today. Think and talk about the following. Page 5. What details explain what happens when earth plates get locked together? So I'm going to go back. I've already read my chapter. I'm going to go back to page 5. It tells me down at the bottom, this is page 12. Now I'm on 10. All right, let's go find. Here is page 5, and I want to know what happens when earth plates get locked together. So let's reread page 5. Earth's crust is broken up into giant plates. We talked about plates last week. The plates are like huge flat boats floating on Earth's mantle. The moving plates send out energy. Sometimes the plates get locked together. Okay, if I'm a super awesome 4th grader, I'm listening to what comes next. And the energy cannot escape. The force of trapped energy becomes so strong that it pushes the plates apart. The energy travels to Earth's crust. It shakes everything in its path. This shaking movement is an earthquake. So imagine they get locked. It's the forces trapped in the under become so strong, it pushes the plates apart, and the energy travels through Earth's crust. As you can imagine what that might feel like if you're sitting there, it might be some shaking or rumbling, and we call that an earthquake. So when I go back to my slide here, in order to answer this question, I'm just gonna type into this box here. So I could say the Earth's plates, oops, I spelled earth wrong. When the Earth's plates get locked together, and I can continue to say in my own words. Remember, a summary is how I'm rewording it. I don't want to type exactly what I read, otherwise that's not useful. And Ms. Ricks wants to make sure you can understand what you read, so you need to be able to put it into your own words. What happens? Well, they have energy and they separate and they shake, and then an earthquake happens. So however you want to word that. And then when I'm done with that one, I'll just go down and I'll look at what the next question asks. What details on page 7 explain how a seismograph works? So I'll go back, I'll go to page 7, and it should tell me something about this thing called a seismograph. All right, let's see what the last thing on this document is here to do. Use details from text Earth measuring its changes to write a response to these questions. What forces of nature did you find most interesting? So you can write about anything that you've read in chapter 1 there. If you think the seismograph was most interesting, if you think how the tectonic plates work is most interesting, whatever you want to write about there. And what information about this force did you already know? What information was new to you? So you're gonna have to think about what did you read that you didn't know already, and what kinds of things have we covered? We talked a little bit last week about earthquakes. You've read a little bit about earthquakes already, so some information's new, some information's old. Write about all of those things in this text box down here, and then that's the rest of your lesson for the day, and you're good to go. Have an awesome rest of your day, 4th graders, and I can't wait to see the type of work you turn in. Bye.